Hello, Addison.
Hello, Billy. Okay, I'm excited for today's episode because we are taking a break from 1883. My heart can actually, feel for a hot moment. I'm not crying because we are going to talk about Yellowstone Season 5.
Yeah, and right off the top, let's be honest about why we're doing this. Because usually Mondays are episode recap days from episodes of 1883. Episode 7 of 1883 did air on Sunday night, and here we are without anything to say about episode 7. And why is that, Addison?
Well, we may or may not have gotten the screeners ahead of time.
We haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, we haven't watched it yet, actually, as we're recording this. We have no clue what has happened. But don't worry, because we will still give a recap. It's just going to come later in the week.
Well, Tuesday. I think we should get it on Tuesday, because we do have the episodes at this point. And full disclosure, Paramount Plus sets us up with the advanced episodes, so we can kind of deliver our content on time. I don't think that compromises how we approach the show. I mean, we've been critical of things with Yellowstone in 1883 in the past. We both overwhelmingly enjoy it, but we didn't get it in time for production this weekend to get it all put together by Monday. So it's going to be a Tuesday drop for this episode. So we thought we'd fill the space with and everything you need to know about season 5 of Yellowstone, because we had some big news about that last week.
Mm-hmm. It's happening. Not that we ever thought that it wasn't going to happen, but it's coming. It's going to, production-wise, is starting sooner than I was expecting.
Production starts in May. And it was kind of funny when Yellowstone announced they were officially coming back. Everybody was like, oh my God, it's happening. We all knew it was happening, didn't we?
Right. I mean, I would hope so. Or there's so many loose ends that I'm still wanting to know. Now, granted, it was a little bit in question if there's going to be a season 6, which, obviously we'll just take one thing at a time. But I'm like, season 5 is pretty much it was going to happen.
Production is going to be May through August in Montana, entirely in Montana this time, in many of the same scenes and buildings that we've seen through seasons 3 and 4. So they're not varying around too much. We're aiming for a fall release. They haven't announced exactly when season 5 of Yellowstone, but all indications are fall.
Man, they are burning the candle on both ends, production-wise, between all these shows, which I want to talk a little bit more about the 4-6's Ranch a little bit later on in conversation. But I want to know who is coming back and who got the boot, and who are we surprised that's coming back that we weren't expecting?
Well, the press release from Yellowstone listed a lot of the principal characters coming back, and most of them we knew. Kevin Costner, of course, Luke Grimes, Kelly Riley, Wes Bentley, Cole Hauser, Kelsey Asbill. Those are the primary characters.
Right.
The bunkhouse crew, including Forey Smith, Denham Richards, Ian Bowen, Ryan Bingham, all coming back. Brecken Merrill, who plays Tate, will return. Finn Little, who plays Carter, will return. Gil Birmingham, who plays Rainwater, he's going to return. I assume Mo Brings Plenty will as well, although he's not listed. But also set to return for season 5 of Yellowstone, and I found this really interesting, Jefferson White, and now with a promotion, Catherine Kelly, that's Jimmy and Emily. I thought we said goodbye to them.
This made my heart, number one, so happy because I have just really loved them. So I'm glad we're going to get them for another season. But I'd also agree, as they were driving off, I thought, okay, this is going to be his kind of closing of the door for this show because, he's going to be on 4-6's. And so for him to be coming back, now my brain is kind of going, how on earth are you going to interweave everything and it not get blurry of where is he, what show is he on at this point, of how do you keep him, I guess him and Emily, how do you keep them consistent where it doesn't start to get really confusing?
Right, and are characters from Yellowstone going to appear on the 4-6's show? Like what kind of inter-show incest are we going to be having here? You make good points.
Well, yeah, such an interesting way to put that, Billy, but you're not wrong. Well, the one that I was surprised that okay, you haven't said this yet, so I won't tee this up too much. Who are we missing? There's some big names here that we are missing. One I'm not really surprised by, but there is another one that I am surprised by.
Characters who play Mia and Laramie were not listed anywhere on the press release. Mia, of course, was Jimmy's ex-girlfriend. Laramie is her BFF, who's been kicking it with Walker. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to appear, because also not listed on the press release was Piper Perabo, who plays Summer Higgins, and she was pretty excited about the return of season 5, sort of an indication to me that Summer could be returning after her stint in prison.
You know, it's one of those things of Mia, to be honest, I'm good if she doesn't come back. She's a great character, love her, but she's just stirring the pot with the 3, Emily, I almost said Jefferson White,
Jimmy.
Oh my gosh, Jimmy. Why am I forgetting my favorite character's name? Jimmy and Emily. Clearly he wasn't my favorite for a hot second. For that, I'm like, okay, drama's done. We're done here. But Laramie, she's always like, we've got to figure out what, Lloyd, he at the end of season 4, he kind of, shaped up and looked like he was going on the right path. I really think that this character going forward is going to still be iffy. And so for me, I'm like, why, Laramie's kind of that pot stirrer, but between her, the love triangle essentially. So that kind of surprises me that she would be completely gone.
I have a theory about Lloyd, and I think we're going to do some predictions about season 5 at the end here. But what if Jimmy, wouldn't it be funny if Jimmy and Emily's only role was at the very start of episode 1 of season 5, they just kind of come back in the bunkhouse for a second. It's like, oh, guys, forgot my wallet. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Yep. See ya. Okay, then.
Good to see you guys.
And that's it.
And then plug the 4-6's Ranch new show.
He's wearing a shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, honestly, Billy, I wouldn't put it past the show at this point. I have no expectations on any of Taylor Sheridan's work, so that could happen. So there are some questions that I know that you and I have that we've talked about before that we are just wondering, okay, are we going to touch on in season 5? Surely we're going to touch on. And I have one that we haven't necessarily talked about in depth yet, but I'm curious if Beth will end up meeting Jamie's son.
Oh, right. Gosh, I keep forgetting about that little boy.
Exactly.
He has a son who's going to be...
him?
Well, I don't know, because have we actually seen him? Have we actually laid eyes on that baby's face, or has he just been kind of coddled in baby mama's arms?
It's been either arms or there was a scene where Jamie was in the field or the grassy area of their house with the son. But I will say we just saw the back of his head. I'm pretty sure. So
that's a good question. And how is she going to respond there? I can't imagine she'd be mean to the baby. I mean, I might be out on Yellowstone if she starts picking on the baby, but she might take some aggression out on Christina, which I wouldn't be too mad about. If Christina returns and she kind of gets the rough end of Beth, Christina's kind of like that girlfriend of your best friends who, when she's around, you're like, oh, Christina, good to see you. How you been? Good. And the moment she leaves, you're like, dude, you got to break up with her. That girl is terrible.
Well,
she's using you.
If Jamie's baby is there in season 5, surely Christina's got to be around. Is she just going to disappear in this child's... Okay, yeah. I was like, surely not. Yeah.
Well, this is my big question. There could be a good
little cat fight there. What's your big question?
What's going to happen with Jamie? And I think this is one of the cliffhangers after season 4. Not really so much a cliffhanger because we know he's sticking around, but he's going to be presumably in some sort of state of depression. Where does his character go during the arc of season 5? And can he find anything that looks like redemption?
I'm thinking it's just deterioration for him. That got really dark really fast, but I don't know. Maybe.
There's no hope. You've been watching 1883 too much.
You're right. There's no glimmer of hope in my eyes. Well, I've just been, I tend to take theories and run with them, Billy, as we know, and I am just learning how to hold things a little bit looser.
The other Beth question I have is, what's Beth going to do for work now? That girl needs a job because Rip isn't getting paid all that much as the Dutton enforcer. Like, no one on that ranch gets paid that much. She, let's admit it, she has expensive tastes. She drives around in that Mercedes and does her shopping at some pretty fancy designer clothing stores. So what is she going to do for work, and how will that compete against Market Equities, who just fired her at the end of season 4?
Well, now, wasn't she wanting to create a wedding venue? Or am I lost on that?
No, you're right about that, and I forgot about it. Like, she was booking weddings, so that could be her hustle.
I think that's her hustle. That she leans more into that, and then, I mean, you can make a lot of money out of having a wedding venue, so I think that's, to answer that, I think, your face that you made, you weren't so sure.
I mean, can you see Beth being satisfied as a wedding planner?
No, but it at least keeps her busy. Oh, she's absolutely not going to just let Market Equities and all the above just, go adios. Like, no. But I think, I think the wedding venue is going to be it.
Market Equities will definitely be in the mix in season 5, and the questions about what's going to happen with that airport are still present. That didn't get anything close to resolved during season 4, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I thought we'd see a little bit more resolution, or at least they'd become more of a nemesis of the Duttons. They were kind of just tangent characters throughout the bulk of season 4 as they figured out the Garrett drama.
Yeah, it's more so focused on that relationship with Beth and Market Equities than the Dutton family and ranch as a whole.
The only cliffhanger I think we had from last season, we are curious to find out if John Dutton becomes governor. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but what did Kacye see? That's the season's big cliffhanger.
Yeah, I know. Well, and then during his visions, having Avery pop up, I don't know where I stand on this. I do think it's potentially going to, I don't know. Where's your head at, Billy?
I think his family will end up moving back onto the ranch somehow, some way. I don't think him and Monica will separate. I think what he saw was the end of the Duttons somehow, some way, which I think is ultimately how the series will conclude, and maybe he's having a premonition about that. My one prediction, and we're jumping a little ahead here, is this is going to be a big, big Kacye season. It's going to depend on Kacye's actions, where last season was definitely a Beth and Rip season.
Well, and I, at the very beginning when I first saw this episode, and I saw, that Kacye had seen something, and at first I thought, okay, it's the end of him and Monica. But then the more I kept thinking about it, I was like, surely, she's pregnant. Surely they're not going to do that to us, of rip them apart when they're about to bring a new little one into the world. Surely not. So I would agree with you. I feel like the more plausible role here would be the end of the Dutton Ranch in general. But then that also makes me wonder, where on earth is Avery in the mix of all this? And maybe she's not. Maybe it was just one of those moments, like you said, these loose ends that just never end up getting picked back up.
So season 5 of Yellowstone will pick up, we believe, some months after the conclusion of season 4. And we said that in a previous episode for a couple of reasons. One, they almost have to, because the characters of Carter and Tate are going to be dang near 2 years older than they were when they finished taping season 4. Tate probably, he might have a deep voice by now. I think he's like 13, 14. His voice might have changed. Carter's a couple years older. He might have like one of those terrible mustaches that teenage boys wear. I was like,
oh man, I hope so.
Hopefully. But also just based on when they're filming. If they're filming May to August, that means no snow. We would have gotten through the snowy season in Montana. So we could be like spring, summer. So a lot of these situations might have been resolved in the time we didn't see. We might know where Kacye stands with his wife, Monica. Summer will be close to getting out of prison. Things will have advanced quite a bit. That's the one thing I feel pretty sure about as season 5 begins, which of course means I am absolutely not even close to the truth, because that's how our record goes on these kinds of things.
So far, that is our track record. But like I said in the previous episode, I'm here for it. If they do kind of fast forward things, I think just momentum wise, it's going to hold me a little bit longer than if we directly start where we left off. So I think that is a smart move on their behalf. But yeah, like you said, now that we're saying it, probably won't happen, but we'll see. I would love to start talking about theories as this upcoming season, as we eventually approach it in the fall, because we had some that we were going back and forth with earlier. Yeah. Do you have any specific theories?
Well, let's do theories and predictions. I'm going to ask you to make a prediction here in a second. But first, some theories that people have had. These aren't necessarily our theories. And in fact, some of them I don't even really care for all that much. But people think Walker could be a FBI informant. That theory hasn't really died down any.
I think that one's a good one.
I'm not really on board with that. But another theory is that Walker's going to the 4-6's ranch show. That somehow he'll end up down there with Jimmy, which seems plausible now that we know that Jimmy's coming back in some way. Maybe he'll have a bit of a recruiting trip. And then there's a new theory that Summer might be pregnant with John's baby. I don't like this at all.
I don't either.
But the timing works. 8 months in jail, she pops out and she's got a big old baby bump. And John's like, oh boy.
another kiddo.
Didn't see that coming. Hi.
Yeah, I don't love that one as much. But like you said, timeline, it does work out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't love it.
I mean, that's a stretch. I don't see it happening either. But, Summer playing some sort of role in the action with her environmentalism. That could play into it somehow, although I don't have the foggiest idea how. Do you have any predictions for season 5?
We're
going to come back and listen to this, by the way. We're going to, when season 5 ends, we're going to see how we did. We're going to keep score. Yeah, oh yeah.
Just you wait, Billy. I'm coming for a redemption streak. I'm curious if we will see a reconnecting of Kacye and Jamie's relationship. Even though I did just say 2 seconds ago that he's going to deteriorate, Jamie is, I'm curious if we'll have a redemption in the sense for Jamie, in the sense of, I think him and Kacye will make up. Mainly because, Kacye has, you can see that this is a conversation that he's at least, or a thought that he's had in his head too of, this at the end of the day is my brother. He may not be blood, but he is my brother. I think that might be the way that we end up seeing redemption for Jamie is through the bonding of the brothers. So that's my theory, is that at some point at the very, very, very end of season 5, I'm not saying we're getting this anytime soon. I'm saying like the last episode of season 5, we may see the reconnecting of their relationship.
I predict a significant cast death or a significant character death.
You have predicted that in each season, Billy. This is what happened last season as well. That is your favorite question or prediction. It's who's going to die.
Well, if you think about it, no one significant outside of the very first episode of the very first season, no one significant has really died. We've seen a lot of the enemies get killed, but no one that the Duttons... Now, the sheriff died in season 4, but I wouldn't count him as significant. I'm thinking like someone from the bunkhouse. I specifically have my eye on Teeter, actress Jennifer Landon's going to be she's going to be a bigger role this season. We're going to get a lot more Teeter, which could hook us to her death, much like they did Ennis in 1883. But Lloyd is who I think.
Yeah.
And I said that last year. I think Lloyd's time on the ranch is running out.
They would for sure be teasing it a little bit from season 4, if that was true. Like even I said earlier, he's kind of a character that you're going, like which way are you going to swing? And go off the deep end. So I don't know. I could get on board with the Lloyd thought. Teeter, I get your theory of, yes, this show tends to make you fall in love with someone and then they rip them away from you. So based on that theory, absolutely. But I would pick Lloyd over Teeter.
Well, you're thinking of 1883. Yellowstone keeps him around. Like we loved Jimmy and they never killed him. We like Emily and she's still there.
That's true.
Who else have we kind of fallen in love with on this show?
Carter, he's still there. I mean, not that they're going to kill Carter off, but...
Are you really loving Carter, though?
I am. I have a soft spot for him. Because I really, really think that we're going to see just the continual refinement of him. I do. I like him more than Tate. Tate is just like the classic, like, okay, good boy. You know what I mean? Where Carter, I like that he pushes some buttons. I'm here for it.
You know, my problem with Tate is, like, and this is kind of mean to say, like, in the early seasons when he was young, like, they knew how to use him and he was pretty good on screen. But now he's kind of like in that awkward transition phase where he's like a preteen into teenagerhood. And he kind of just,
Billy.
We totally do, but they don't know what to do with him. So, like, he hardly had any role last year. He kind of lopes around awkwardly. Like, I want him kind of to fall into something. I think he's probably a pretty good actor, but, like, we got Carter kind of more fully developed, so we know who he is, and that's going to be consistent. Tate, this transition period has been a little bit difficult.
More rough. Well, maybe we're going to see that in season 5.
And I have 3 boys, so I should prepare myself for that awkward transition phase.
Yeah. You're looking into your future, Billy. Be nice.
Yeah.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
If you've struggled for years to lose weight and have given up hope, did you know you can now access GLP-1 prescription medications at TryLifeMD.com? We're now offering eligible patients online access to GLP-1s, the breakthrough prescription medication that can help you lose body fat and weight. Listen to what people are saying.
It's fun to put on jeans that you couldn't get into 6 months ago.
Every morning, I look forward to getting on the scale. For anybody who's struggling with their weight, it's a godsend.
And here's the best part. Your insurance may cover 100% of the cost of your medication. So go to TryLifeMD.com to have your eligibility checked right now. Get started today at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
So how can fans watch season 5?
This is important. Yeah, this is important. And we can wrap after this, I think, because it is confusing. And you might have forgotten some of the details if you're listening to this episode closer to the start of season 5 than the end of season 4. Yellowstone airs live on the Paramount Network. And if you want to watch reruns of it, you can watch them and stream them through the Paramount Network. But to get the Paramount Network, you have to have a cable service or some other sort of streaming service that includes that as part of the bundle. You can, for $2.99 per episode or $20 a season, download episodes of Yellowstone from Amazon. Not a bad deal. However, the first 3 seasons of Yellowstone, and soon to be the 4th season, I imagine by springish, the 4th season of Yellowstone will be streaming not on Paramount Network and not on Paramount Plus, but on Peacock, which is an NBC product. Paramount is CBS, Peacock is NBC. And why this happened is they needed a streaming partner before the advent of Paramount Plus. So they went to Peacock and said, hey, you want to stream this? Peacock's like, sure, yeah, no problem. Turned out to be a really, really sweet deal for Peacock because now it's a long-term deal and Paramount Network can't get their show back in reruns. That's going to be the case for really as long as anybody can tell. There's no end date that's known on that agreement, and Peacock's not about to give it up. So look for the first 4 seasons on Peacock, season 5 exclusively on Paramount Network, or like I said, downloaded through Amazon. You cannot stream Yellowstone on Paramount Plus, and you're probably never going to be able to.
Yeah, and that's where that gets confusing because you can stream, and that's where you watch 1883, is Paramount Plus.
There is kind of like one other diamond in the rough way to catch Yellowstone episodes live. Well, not live, but for free in a streaming. Something called Pluto TV will from time to time have Yellowstone marathons. And if that happens, you can actually watch it online. I was just watching Terminator 2 before we hopped on here. And you can watch, well, you can watch, and they'll have a Yellowstone marathon. So you can just kind of plug yourself in for, now I don't know if they run the episodes in order or how that works, but Pluto TV, which I have no idea who owns that or what that is all about. They'll stream it from time to time.
You can also watch our, nothing like a plug, but you can also watch our YouTube videos. Our little recap YouTube videos are not exactly play-by-play, but they're pretty good.
It's like a Crib Notes version. Yeah.
Yeah. Spark Notes.
Smooth.
We got you covered.
Okay, so the new episode of Dutton Rules that recaps episode 7 of 1883 is going to drop when?
Tuesday.
Yes.
I don't know why I decided to say it like that.
Like you're selling used cars.
It's going to be good.
And then we'll continue to have interviews and episode recaps and a couple of other special things through the end. And then we'll probably take a break on the podcast for a short bit at some point, maybe in March. But staff@tasteofcountry.com, by the way, is the email address. For any questions, concerns, or if you want to correct us on any of those things, which people do quite often, and I'm very appreciative of.
Yeah, we're here for it.